Christmas had always been a big deal in our family. Every year, Grandpa and Grandma hosted the dinner in their warm countryside home just outside Seattle, inviting relatives from across the state. It was the one time of the year where everyone put aside work stress, family drama, and unspoken tensions to gather under one roof for food, laughter, and old stories that refused to age. But this year felt different from the moment I stepped into the house. The laughter seemed louder than usual, almost forced, and my parents acted as if we hadn't barely spoken in months. Mom hugged me tightly like she wasn't the same person who had blocked my number just weeks ago, and Dad gave me a pat on the back as if everything between us had always been fine. I played along, keeping my composure, though inside I was boiling with questions I had no answers for, until Grandpa dropped the one question that changed everything. Before we dive into the story, we'll love to thank you for your continued support to this channel. If you enjoy this story and stories like this, kindly subscribe and hit on the notification button so you don't miss any of our stories. We will love to hear from you. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments section. We'll love to give you a shout out in our next video. We were halfway through the roast turkey when Grandpa, holding a fork like a conductor's baton, chuckled and asked loudly enough for everyone to hear, "So, how's life in the house I bought you, son?" The clinking of silverware paused. Conversations at both ends of the table halted as every head slowly turned to me. My eyes widened. My throat tightened. The words evaporated from my tongue. It wasn't just the question, it was the weight behind it. Grandpa wasn't asking out of curiosity. He was expecting an answer that would confirm he had done something good for me, something meaningful. He had gifted me that house 6 months ago as a surprise graduation gift after I earned my engineering degree, his way of saying he was proud of me. He said it was in my name, told me he had worked it out with his lawyer, and handed me the key in an envelope with a handwritten note, "Your future starts here." But I never moved in, because I couldn't. The very next day, after celebrating with friends and looking forward to furnishing my new place, I went to the house and found the locks changed. I thought maybe I had made a mistake with the key, so I called my mom. She told me the house needed pest control. Then it was roof repairs. Then it was something else. Before long, they stopped responding to my messages altogether. I tried everything: calls, emails, even visiting their place. But they always had an excuse, always dodging, always delaying. A few weeks later, I saw the house listed on Airbnb with photos of the living room furnished exactly the way my mom liked it: cherrywood coffee tables, pastel curtains, and a ceramic Buddha head by the fireplace. They'd taken it for themselves. I hadn't told Grandpa because I didn't want to upset him. I thought maybe they would come around. But now, right here, they were being put on the spot. I looked over at my parents. My father was frozen, trying not to make eye contact. My mother, always quicker on her feet, let out a short laugh and said, "Oh, Dad, you must have been mistaken. We're just managing the house for now." He wasn't really ready to live on his own, so we decided to turn it into a rental property for the time being. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I looked at her like I was seeing a stranger. The way she smiled while lying so easily made my stomach turn. I looked back at Grandpa, who seemed puzzled but didn't press further. Everyone else resumed eating, though the mood had shifted. I had stayed quiet long enough. But I wasn't going to explode. Not yet. I had something better planned. The rest of the evening crawled by like a bad dream I couldn't wake up from. Everyone resumed their conversations, but I could feel the tension lingering like smoke after a fire. My parents continued their performance like nothing had happened. Mom even offered me an extra helping of pie, calling me sweetheart, like she hadn't robbed me of the one thing I had worked toward for years. I nodded politely, thanked her, and played along, but deep down, something had finally snapped. I realized I had spent months trying to protect their reputation, trying to stay loyal to parents who saw me as expendable if it meant padding their bank account. I had let them steal from me and then act like they were doing me a favor. But tonight was the last time I'd let that slide. I excused myself after dinner and stepped out into the cold night air, pacing in Grandpa's backyard with my phone in hand. I had saved everything: screenshots of messages they ignored, photos of the listing, emails showing denied ownership access, even a voice memo I had recorded during one of our rare confrontations. My mom had laughed and said, "That house? Please. You're not ready for that kind of responsibility. Let us handle it. You'll thank us later." I had stared at her in disbelief back then. Now, I was thankful I hit record. When I walked back in, Grandpa was sitting alone in the den beside the fireplace, flipping through a photo album. I stood there for a moment before quietly saying, "Grandpa, I think you should see something." He looked up with that same warm gaze that had never once let me down in my life. I sat next to him and pulled out my phone, showing him every piece of proof I had. At first, he just frowned. Then he stopped flipping through the photos. His hands clenched slightly as he listened to the recording. I could feel the heat rise in the room, even though the fire had dimmed. "You're telling me," he said quietly, "that they lied to me and kept that house from you after everything?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. His eyes glistened, not from sadness, but something older, deeper. "Get everyone in the living room," he said, his voice as steady as stone. Right now. The living room, still adorned with twinkling lights and wrapping paper scraps, felt suddenly like a courtroom. Everyone filed in slowly, expecting Grandpa to make one of his classic speeches or surprise someone with an unexpected gift. My cousins sat on the floor beside the fireplace, and aunts and uncles sank into sofas, balancing cups of eggnog and mugs of hot chocolate. My parents were the last to arrive. Dad looked slightly nervous, but Mum still wore that irritating smile, the same one she had used all night to mask the truth. She sat beside Grandma, crossing her legs and glancing at Grandpa with a curious tilt of her head. "Everything okay, Dad?" she asked sweetly. Grandpa didn't answer. He simply stood and looked around the room, letting the silence grow thick. Then he pointed to me and said, "Go ahead, son." I took a deep breath, pulled my phone from my pocket, and walked to the center of the room. "I wasn't going to say anything tonight," I began. "But since the question came up, and since my mom decided to lie right in front of you all, I think it's time you know the truth." I tapped play. My mother's voice, clear and cruel, played aloud. "You're not ready for that kind of responsibility. Let us handle it. You'll thank us later." There were gasps. Someone dropped a mug. My father stared at the rug as if it could somehow open and swallow him whole. But I didn't stop there. I showed the screenshots on the big screen TV via screen mirror, the unanswered messages, the photos of the house listed online, even the bank notification from a rental deposit going to my parents' account. Then I played a video I had filmed a month ago, standing outside the house I couldn't enter. I had tried the key again, and again it failed. I had held the camera to my face and said, "This is the house Grandpa gave me, the one I was never allowed to step foot in." The locks were changed by my own parents. No one said a word when the video ended. My mother blinked rapidly. Her face turned pale. "That was taken out of context," she whispered, but her voice had lost all conviction. Grandpa stepped forward, eyes locked on her. Context: you stole from your own son. You lied to me. You used my gift to line your pockets and turned around to make him look like he didn't deserve it. Dad finally spoke, his voice quiet. We thought it was best. He's still young. Don't, Grandpa snapped. Just don't. Then he turned to me and said loud enough for everyone to hear, I'm getting my lawyer on the phone first thing tomorrow morning. That house is going back into your name, fully and legally. If I have to drag your mother to court to make it happen, I will. And if either of them collect one more dime from it, they'll answer to me. The shame on my parents' faces wasn't even satisfying. It was just sad. Years of trust evaporated in one evening. Grandpa wasn't done. He turned to the rest of the family. Let this be a lesson. I love each and every one of you, but don't you dare confuse silence for weakness. This boy has worked hard, harder than most, and all he asked for was a chance to build something for himself. That's what I gave him, and what they tried to steal. My mother cried, mascara streaking down her cheeks. My father stared at the floor like it held all the answers he didn't have. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done being angry. Later that night, Grandpa sat beside me while the others quietly packed up and left. I'm proud of you, he said. Not just for what you've done, but for not becoming like them. Thank you, I said, my voice shaking. I just wanted them to tell the truth. He nodded. Sometimes, son, the truth needs a little push. If this story moved you, made you think, or reminded you of a situation you've seen or lived through, don't just scroll by. Share your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done in my place? And if you've ever had to expose a lie to reclaim your voice, we want to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. And hit the bell so you never miss the next moment of truth.